Hello, everyone. Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you on Friday at the end of I'm going to say the end of a week, but end of the working week anyway. And international beginning to kick off now. England playing tonight. That's one to look out for. Should be a couple of Arsenal players at least involved in that. Could be a start for Saka, could be a start for Aaron Ramsdale as well in goal. There's no Jordan Pickford for this one. Some other Arsenal players have been in action already during the international break. Saliba played yesterday for France, and lots of other things going on. But let's face it, the international break, I doubt many of you are too interested in it. It always just drags on a little bit, especially at this time of the season. We want to be focusing on Arsenal, don't we? And season started so well, sitting so nicely at the top of the table. Tottenham right on the horizon now. And this international break just comes a little bit of a time when you're just like, oh, come on, let's just keep the club football going, shall we? So anyway, what better time? I haven't done one of these for a while with Q&A, so I thought what better time to do one right now, sort of cut through the boredom of the international break and start looking ahead to that Tottenham game, and also looking back, reflecting on the start to the season so far, because let's face it, it's been a very good, very enjoyable start to the season, and can't have too many complaints about how things have gone. So I can see already plenty of you getting involved, saying hello. So just fire in some questions. Let's have a bit. It doesn't have to be questions either, can be opinions, comment, anything like that. Let's have a bit of a Arsenal debate for the next 20 minutes or so, something like that. And yeah, we'll get started. By the way, brilliant news for Bukayo Saka today, named England Player of the Year, Men's Player of the Year. So congratulations to Star Boy. Harry's getting involved. And how's your afternoon? All good. Thank you, Harry. Hope you're going well. Lots of other people getting involved, saying hello. And we will start. Hakuna, Chelsea own you. Yeah, they really, really don't. This is an interesting one. How do you view the growth of Patino and Norton Cuffy? Well, it's hard to really say now. I mean, the growth, actually, start with the growth of Norton Cuffy. I mean, it's been fabulous in the last year or so. 2022 for him, what a year that's been. Brilliant loan spell with Exeter. Came back, went and won the Euros for the under-19s for England. And now he's having a very good spell in the Championship as well. Still such a young player, and for a player his age doing what he's doing at the moment, his growth's been brilliant in 2022. You can't ask for much more than that. In terms of Patino, it's tough to judge at the moment. Disappointing summer for him, really, Arsenal-wise. I think definitely would have been hoping to go on that US tour. The fact he didn't, that would have been a blow. But he's gone out on loan, and he's now getting some real experience in the Championship. And he started off so well with Blackpool, and then got that unfortunate ankle injury that sort of just cut things short, just to do with getting some real momentum going. But he's back now, and hopefully get some games under his belt. Scored his first goal the other day, obviously, which is good for him. And looking forward to seeing what he can do this season, because it's a big season for him in the Championship. And hopefully he can play well, come back, and then really have a big summer with Arsenal next summer. The big one, Messi player asking about the contracts with Saliba, Martinelli, and Saka. There's nothing that I can report too much more on it, I'm afraid. At the moment, we're still just in that waiting game in terms of the talks going on, trying to get something put on paper, trying to get something signed. At the moment, it hasn't happened, but there's still plenty of time to go, and I don't think Arsenal are worrying too much about it at the moment. The noises around the Saka one are very, very positive. I do expect that's I'd be very surprised if it doesn't. I mean, you can never say never, and you can have a change of heart, whatever, and it will all go suddenly wrong. We saw it with Ashley Cole back in the day. But certainly the noise is coming from the club, from Saka, from Mikel Arteta. It's all very, very positive. Martinelli, I don't expect there's going to be problems with Martinelli. I'm sure he'll sign a contract. I'd be surprised if he doesn't, just because how he's getting on, his progress, how much he loves it in London, loves it at Arsenal. It just feels like that's one that will happen. Saliba's the interesting one. I know there have been reports and people saying that it's been agreed and things like that. It's been done ages ago, some people are saying. It's not my understanding of the situation. So I think it's one for Saliba. It was always going to be a case of waiting and seeing what happens this season. He came back from Arsenal, came back in the summer, wouldn't have had a clue what was going to happen this season with Arsenal. He'd have been told, as he was, that he was going to play a part, but still, given what had happened the 3 years before, he must have had serious doubts in his mind. So I think for him, he's just seeing how it all goes. He's going very well at the moment. Couldn't have asked for much more from that start to the season. But I think, we'll have to wait a little bit longer when it comes to Saliba and that contract being signed. But I do think all three of them will, personally, but that is just a hunch. That's not based on anyone saying to me, look, it is definitely happening, because until things are signed, it's just, you can't say for sure. But it feels like Arsenal are in a good place with 3 of them, but we'll have to wait and see. Absolutely. Of course it is. 100% it's good enough for the top 4. It's not going to be easy, but it's good enough for the top 4. There's going to you have to have a bit of luck along the way, no doubt about it. Injuries, especially. And the good thing is we've kind of seen so far this season when Arsenal have had injuries, and they've had a few, that people have stepped up and done really well in players' absence. I thought Sambi Lokonga did well when Thomas Partey was out. Obviously, he's not as good as Thomas Partey, but he's 10 years younger in terms of experience in his career, so that's no surprise. But I thought he did well, stepped up well. We've seen Fabio Vieira step up against Brentford when Odegaard was out, and look what he did. So I absolutely think the squad is good enough. But with everyone, every team, you're going to need a little bit of luck along the way and hope key players like Gabriel Jesus, for example. That's the big worry. If Jesus got injured, then you're down to just purely Eddie Nketiah as your striker. Yes, there are options you can have there, Martinelli, someone like that. But in terms of an actual out-and-out central striker, your only option is Eddie Nketiah. And so that's a little bit limited. And that's not saying Eddie's limited. I'm just saying that's your only, if you're down to one striker, that is not a good situation. Say Jesus got injured for 2 months or something like that. Touch wood, it won't happen. But if it does, that would be my main concern, would be the striker situation. And potentially if something happened with Bukayo Saka. But other than those 2 areas, I think Arsenal are pretty well set. Hakuna Matata, you are loving just dropping Chelsea things in there. I don't know what, you surely should be doing something slightly more productive with your lunch hour than this. Hello, Cyan. Hope all is well with you. Craig, yes. Neighbour's kitchen is all done. Thank you very much. Hi, Joe. Let's see. What does Drunken Gooner say? Good name, Drunken Gooner. Arshavin in your profile pic. Hi, Charles. How are you? Does Ethan Nwani get into the fast track path, or does he go on loan for his progress? Oh, I mean, it's certainly not going on loan yet. He's a 15-year-old kid. There's no chance he's going out on loan yet. I mean, he's still at school. He's still at school. He was at school on Tuesday. So you're looking well down the path until when you're talking about loans or anything like that. You can't even sign a pro contract for another 18 months. So I mean, for now, it's just a case of going back down. He'll end. I can't imagine he'll be on the bench after the international break for the Spurs game. He'll go back down to the under-18s, under-21s, and just continue building his career. He had a big moment against Brentford. Fantastic for him. Really, brilliant thing to achieve. But he's still at the very start. He's still a boy. So no, he won't. He'll carry on, like you said, the sort of fast track process. I imagine they'll at the moment be looking at him possibly as a Bukayo Saka type path to follow. But in terms of loan, I mean, that's not going to happen for a long time. Ricardo waking up in northern Mexico. Good to hear from you, Ricardo. Hope Mexico is treating you well. This is an interesting one. Could you explain the Nwani situation? Could he leave for, say, Man City tomorrow, as he is not contracted to another club? I think my understanding of that is he could technically, because he's not a contracted player. He's not even. I don't think he's not even a first-year scholar yet. So I think yes, he could, but I think Arsenal are doing all they can to make sure that all those clubs who are interested in don't get the opportunity, because he feels very happy and his family feel very happy that Arsenal is the right club for him to be at, and it's on the right progress. And so that's what they're trying to do to negate that situation you were talking about. This is a really hard one for me to answer, because even medical experts can't really answer it yet. It's the issue he has. I can't really go too in depth into it, because I just don't. I'm not an expert when it comes to this side of. When it comes to medics, I'm not an expert in anything, to be honest. But certainly medical side of things. It's just you need a real sort of qualified doctor to talk you through the problems that Smith Rowe's going through in terms of sort of growing pains, growing spurt, whatever it is that's affecting his groin sort of area. And I think it's just a case of trying to manage the workload, because almost the more you work on it, the harder you push in, the worse the issue becomes. So it's a case of managing it. And when he's not paying free playing, it's just sometimes it can last 6 months. This can with a younger player. Sometimes it can last a couple of years, a few years. So it's just a case of trying to manage it as best as possible. It's a shame for Smith Rowe. It's been you can see in his face how frustrated he is at the situation. He just doesn't feel fit. He hasn't felt fit for a year. And that's nothing worse for a professional athlete when your body doesn't feel right and you can't perform at the very highest level. So it's frustrating for everyone, but hopefully it's something that the club will sort out eventually, or Smith Rowe's body will sort out eventually, and he'll be back. Do you think we could win a trophy this season? Well, I hope so. Absolutely hope so. I don't see why not. I think Arsenal are good enough to. I don't think they're going to win the Premier League, put it that way. But I think certainly the Europa League or one of the cup competitions have got a really good chance of winning because they're a good team. The unfortunate thing is there are plenty of other good teams, so it's going to be really hard to actually do that. But I think Arsenal certainly got a decent chance of silverware. You look at that Europa League this season, and obviously it depends who's going to drop into it from the Champions League. We don't know the exact strength it's going to be in those knockout stages yet, but Arsenal have got a good squad. They're playing really good football. No one will want to play Arsenal at the moment, really. So they've got as good a chance as anyone when it comes to silverware. But I don't think they're going to win the Premier League. If you're asking me that, I think that's a bridge too far. Manchester City are just too good for that. So yeah, I think they can win a trophy, but I don't think they can win the Premier League. What did you get from All or Nothing with Arsenal? Who came out looking good, who looked bad? I thought lots of people came out of it looking good. I actually really enjoyed it. I thought the first episode was pretty rubbish, and I thought, oh, here we go. This isn't going to be good. But I thought the series really improved as it went on, and there were some interesting bits. In terms of who came out of it well, I thought Mohamed El-Neni was really good in it. I thought the Doctor O'Driscoll, I thought he was really funny and came out well. I thought Bukayo Saka came out well, as he always does, because he comes out well in everything. I thought Mikel Arteta came out well in it as well, and I think it was a big thing for Arteta. I thought Granit Xhaka certainly came out well in it as well, and that's continued this season. So I think there was a lot of plus points for it. In terms of who came out of it looking bad, I don't really know if anyone came out of it looking bad, to be honest. There was certainly a couple of cringy points with Arteta, which you're watching thinking, oh, God, no. I mean, the speakers thing before the Liverpool game, we're playing You'll Never Walk Alone. I mean, it didn't look great, did it? And there was a few of the team talks as well. You just thought, oh, God, this is bad. But then I also think when you look at any sort of guy who's trying to be motivational to a group of people, not just in sport, but in business, in anything, if you stick a camera on that and record what they're trying to do, a lot of the time it will look really cringy. And so I don't think that's necessarily Arteta. I just think that's the kind of what you get when you're trying to be a motivational figure at times. Sometimes it will come across well, sometimes it won't come across well. And some of your team talks were great, and I thought it made them look really good. But there was definitely a few cringy bits. But I don't think he came out of it looking bad at all. I thought he came out of it looking pretty good, to be honest. So I thought on the whole it was a really good thing for Arsenal. And the club as a whole came out pretty well. So I don't know, but you let me know what you think. Who came out bad in your eyes? But I didn't think really anyone did. I don't know, Colm. It depends what Shakhtar are going to charge for him come January or come next summer. It's going to be hard. He's not going to be cheap. His star is rising every single appearance in the Champions League at the moment. And so there's going to be lots of clubs looking at him. I think there was half of the Premier League were at the Scotland game yesterday at Hampden Park watching him. There's not probably many players in Europe right now who have got a buzz around them like Mudryk does. So he's going to be expensive. But Arsenal have shown they're willing to spend big money. They've spent big money in the last few transfer windows, and if they really think that Mudryk is the one for them, then I don't see why they won't really try and push for it. The issue is for me, I don't know. It's just where does he play? It just seems like he very much favours the left-hand side, and I don't know. Gabriel Martinelli's just excellent, and so it's like, do you bring someone in of that quality to really compete with? I suppose you don't. You want your squad to be as good as possible, don't you? So maybe you do, but I just think it's really hard to bring in or convince a player to join the club when you've got someone of Martinelli's talent and age already playing in his position. It makes it very, very difficult. So it'll be interesting to see what Arsenal do when it comes to Mudryk or where he's going to go. One thing's for sure, he's one hell of a talent, and he's going to go somewhere. And I would love him to come to Arsenal because he just looks like such an exciting player. Every time I've seen him, he stands out. But we'll have to wait and see with him. He's certainly going to be one of the biggest names rumbling through the transfer windows. Oh, God, this is a hard one. One dream, unrealistic signing. Oh, God, who can I say this? Put me on the spot, why don't you? Who do I love who's a good age who would be a really unrealistic signing? Haaland. Simple as that. And I love Gabriel Jesus, but Erling Haaland, what a player, what an impact he's already made in the Premier League. Just brilliant. I would love him. I would love Serge Gnabry back. as well. It's never going to happen, but I'd love to have him back. But Erling Haaland, what a player, what a talent he is. So I think it'd probably be him, but yeah, that is very unrealistic. It's not going to happen. Hello, Max. Yes, I'm doing well, mate. Hope you are all good. Good day, Charles. Do you believe the loss to Man U is a blight on Arsenal's season so far? No, I don't. I absolutely don't think it's a blight. I think it was. I was really annoyed and disappointed coming out of Old Trafford, but not from the performance. I was just annoyed because that was clearly a game that Arsenal should have won for me. I thought they were a better team. I thought they played really well. There was lots to like about that performance at Old Trafford. They played with character. They played with personality. Pretty much everything we never see from Arsenal at Old Trafford. Usually they go to Old Trafford, stink the place out, lose, and it's just a miserable experience. They lost again this season, and it was a miserable experience because of that. But I thought the actual performance, there was loads to like about it. And if they hadn't lost their heads once they equalised, which they absolutely did, if they'd have just carried on doing what they were doing, they would have won that game. But instead, they all just got too excited. They went like they barely even celebrated the goal because they just wanted to get back to a halfway line. They all just thought, right, we're going to win this now, and they just lost their heads a little bit, and they let Man United pick them off on the counter attack, which was just schoolboy stuff, really. So that was really disappointing. But in terms of performance, I don't think it was a blight on the season so far at all. I am not going there, Tampa Bay, I'm afraid. I don't do predictions at the best of times. I certainly don't do a prediction before the North London derby. I am far, far too superstitious for that. So I'm afraid I'm going to respectfully decline to make any prediction for that. Who do you think will be the next academy player to make his debut in the first team? I'm going to say Lino Sosa at the moment. I think, would you class him as an academy player, actually? Because I suppose they signed him from West Brom. He's not, but he's only 17. I don't know if you'd class him as an academy player or not. Obviously, he didn't come up through the academy. He came from elsewhere and was signed as a 17-year-old. But in terms of any young player, I think he's very, very close. And there's lots of excitement amongst the Arsenal coaching staff and the club about how good he could potentially be. He's been on the bench already, so I'll say him. Yeah, Max, I spoke about this earlier. It is that kind of thing. It's a growing pain thing. I don't think it's not an actual like groin tear or anything like that. It's more his body and the way it's developing, that it's this ongoing issue that it's sort of going away, but then coming back, going away, and then coming back. And it's just not like, it's just something that the sort of more you push it, the more chance it's going to come back. And so it's a really frustrating time for him and the club. And you're just kind of hoping at some point his body's going to stop with what's going on, and he's going to be able to get back to the top, his full level. But at the moment, it's just a little bit frustrating. Yeah, Tielemans is an interesting one. I mean, he's going to go somewhere in the summer, and I would absolutely not be against Arsenal signing him on a free transfer in the summer. He's going to be a good signing for someone, whoever he goes to. He'll get big wages, obviously, but I still think Arsenal. I'd be surprised if Arsenal aren't at least in the running for him. They've had opportunities to sign him. They've decided not to take it. But if and when he becomes a free transfer in the summer, you'd be nuts not to be in the conversation, surely, would you? Because I think he's a very good player. And yes, Leicester having a pretty poor start to the season at the moment, but I don't think that's necessarily down to Tielemans or anything like that. I think when you look at their defence, it's absolute shambles. You watch them against Tottenham. Going forward, I thought they were decent, but defensively they were just laughably bad, and that's where their problem stems from at the moment. See, there's 6 at Spurs, 5 against Brighton, 4 against Arsenal, and that could have been 8 that day. That's Leicester's problem. I'm not really sure it's down to the likes of Tielemans or Maddison, for example, someone like that. Felipe, where do you think we could improve in January? I doubt we'll go for more than one player. I think Partey's position is the most vulnerable one. When he doesn't play, the drop is the most significant. I think that's a fair comment. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be interesting. There's still so much of the season to play in January, isn't there? Because of the World Cup, because of the break. It's like, it's almost, you almost got 2/3 of the season left, something like that. It's such a unknown territory that we're entering this season because of the World Cup, that the January window becomes more and more significant, I think. Usually clubs would just do anything to avoid really getting involved in the January transfer window. But I think this January is going to be a little bit different because there's still so much of the season to play that if you can add to your squad, then I think you're going to want to do that. And Arsenal, I'd be surprised if they aren't they aren't pushing for something in January. Mikel Arteta tends to push for something, doesn't always get his way. Didn't get his way at the end of the last transfer window in the summer, but I'd be surprised if he doesn't. If they don't go for it again, I think it will just be those two prime areas again that they're really looking at potentially strengthening. That'll be midfield and a wide option to come in and offer some support and competition for Bukayo Saka. So I agree with you. I think when Partey doesn't play, and I like Sambi Lokonga, I think he gets a bit of unfair flack at the moment. I thought he did well when he stepped up in his in Partey's absence, but I think that is the area central midfield. If Partey gets injured, then there is quite a significant drop off because that is such a specialised position. And Partey is. It took Partey a long time to get used to it, and look at his age, look how experienced he is. So I'm not surprised Sambi struggled a little bit when he plays that sort of lone midfield role when you're asked to do everything yourself. So yeah, I think probably central midfield, but maybe winger again. Those will be the two areas in January. If they do go for someone, it will be in that sort of area. Just don't listen to Talk Sport, Trevor. Simple as that, mate. Oh, don't say that, Peter. That'd be highly unfortunate. No, I don't think so. It's not like Jack had real bad ankle issues. I don't think this is something like that. This is more to do with muscles and his body and his development. So hopefully, once at some point this is going to end, and then hopefully he can really kick on. But it's no doubt it's been a frustrating year for him. Why is everyone in the media slagging off Arsenal at the moment? Keys, Tony, Cundy, plus we're top of the league, but everyone keeps saying, who have you played? Yeah, but who cares, Mitch? To be honest, who cares? I go back to George Graham, the start of my time supporting Arsenal, the 1991 season when Arsenal had those points deducted against Man United after the brawl at Old Trafford. Everyone was on Arsenal's back, and George Graham used that as a tool to really fire up the players, and they went on won the title. And I'm not saying that's going to happen this season, but it's kind of nice that everyone's getting on the back of Arsenal because it almost shows that they're relevant again. And so who cares what people are saying? It just doesn't. It doesn't. I mean, to be honest, I said it doesn't really bother me. The Richard Keys thing did bother me. That wound me right up so much so that I wrote a big piece about it. But in a way, it's a good thing, like I said, because I just think it means that Arsenal are slightly more relevant again and people are taking more notice of what's going on. I don't think Mikel Arteta is going to be at all bothered by it as well. And the Jason Cundy thing was just utter rubbish. Just, I don't know what was going through his head. It's just rubbish. But so I think you can just kind of ignore that one, to be honest. I don't even know who you're talking about there, Irish. I'm afraid it's not one that I've known about. Do you think all this Arsenal team needs is a win against the top six to really make them title challengers? Not really. They won against the top six last year. They went to Stamford Bridge and won. They beat Man United at home comfortably. So not specifically. They beat Tottenham last season as well. So I don't think that's going to what makes them title challengers. And I don't think, to be honest, I don't think Arsenal are title challengers anyway. I don't think we can get too far ahead of ourselves. It's not going to be Arsenal are not going to go toe to toe Man City this season. I just don't see it happening. I mean, stranger things have happened. Leicester went and won the title, but so you can't say never. But I'd be very very surprised. So I don't think if Arsenal go and beat Spurs after the international break and then beat Liverpool or get 4 points from those two games, I don't think that's necessarily will make me think they're title challengers by any means. I just think it'll just be another step along the way to this team improving. I think where Arsenal have always come unstuck, everyone always focuses on the top six and the big sides. But you look at last season, what really cost them, it was losing 3 games in a row to Southampton, Brighton, and whoever the other team was. I can't think of right now. Crystal Palace. That's what cost them dear at the end. It wasn't so much losing to Tottenham at the end. It was those 3 games before where they threw it away. And they're the games where they've come unstuck time after time when they just don't beat those sort of teams. And they can sort that out this season. They can pick up the points like they have been doing now. Then even if they lose against one of the top 6, it doesn't really matter because they've already got points on the board. But hopefully they do go and beat these sides. It'd be great to get another sort of back up that win at Chelsea last season with another one. That's why I was so annoyed about the defeat at Old Trafford, because that was a game they really should have won and that would have given them a massive confidence boost. But so I don't think they really just need one win against that to make them title challengers. Austin, come on, man. What are we? what are we, September? We're still miles away from transfer windows. I hate talking about transfers at the best of time, let alone at this stage of the season. I don't know. Look, I'm not sure they're going to sign two midfielders in the January transfer window. I'd be surprised if they're going to sign two. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they sign one in January and then one in the summer. But I'd be very surprised if they sign two in one window in January. Do you think Lukonga is a good future star for Arsenal? I do. I really do. I think he gets a lot of unfair flack, and I was quite harsh on him after that Old Trafford game, and I sort of came away from that thinking, yeah, I think I've been a little bit too harsh on him and just expecting a little bit too much from Sambi to come in and fill that Party role and do it brilliantly. I thought he did it well in those games when Party was out. And you can see signs when he's on the ball and his ability, his passing ability. The thing with Sambi, I just don't think he's a holding midfielder. He's not alone. He's not a number 6. When I see Sambi playing, I think he's better going forward. He's got really good vision. He plays nice passes in and around the penalty area. You saw him pre-season. He got up and scored a couple of goals. I just think when he's asked to play that Party role, it's just not his role. I think he's just a little bit. He's more better as almost like one of the number 8s. I've already answered this one a few times in this during this chat, Adam. Yeah, Bukayo Saka says Vizzy PhD. Congratulations to Bukayo Saka. Like I said, England Player of the Year, Arsenal's star boy. Right, I'm gonna have to bail in a minute, guys, because what are we up to now? Nearly 27 minutes. And my missus is downstairs on her lunch break at the moment. She's coming back up here to start work at 2 o'clock. So I'm going to have this cut short by then. And I go back downstairs to where I'm working. I do it up here so you don't complain about the cables in my room behind me downstairs. Tampa Bay, who is your favourite Arsenal player currently? I just don't know. I just Bukayo Saka. Everything about Bukayo Saka. He's just that player that you just absolutely want at your club. An academy boy, brilliant on the pitch, brilliant off the pitch. Just an absolute role model. Just a great bloke. And yeah, he's absolutely. He deserves the name Star Boy, doesn't he? Right, guys, I'm going to have to go. I'm going to try and find one more to answer before I go. So many of you got involved. Sorry if I haven't put up your questions and stuff, but everyone's asking about the same thing. So no point just repeating it over and over and over again. So I'm trying to find one. Let's go with this one, shall we? From Philip. Can Vieira and Martin Odegaard play on the pitch at the same time or too weak defensively? No, I think they can play on the pitch at the same time. I think you probably have to pick who you're playing against in a certain team. If you're going to be... If you're say you're at Man City away, you're not going to play Vieira and Martin Odegaard as the 2 number 8s. Obviously, you're going to have Granit Xhaka in there. But if Xhaka's ever out and you're certainly at home or you're in a game where you're going to dominate possession, I think you can certainly have Vieira and Martin Odegaard playing in those 2 positions, like we've seen Odegaard and Smith Rowe at times playing in those roles. So yeah, I think you have to pick and choose who you're going to play it against. But there's definitely, I think those 2 could be a really good partnership. You sort of go back to the days of Wenger when you had Rosicky, Cazorla, all playing in those sort of roles. I think we could certainly see Arteta replicate that with Vieira and Martin Odegaard playing together as well. All right, everyone, that's about it for me. We're coming up to half-hour mark. Like I said, I've got to go now. Thank you very much for joining. As always, I'll try and do another one of these maybe next week as we gear up towards the North London derby. Not far away now, 8 days from the big one at the Emirates. Until then, everyone, have a very good weekend. Thanks for joining me again. I'll speak to you very, very soon.